guys, I'm Jessie, and today we are going to be talking about what I think are some of the coolest magic systems in fantasy. Keep in mind, this is just my personal opinion, what I enjoy, what I like in my magic systems, and just magic that I think is really cool, and I think you might think is really cool. So if you want to talk about some really cool magic, just keep watching and we're going to talk about some books with some really cool magic. First off, we're going to talk about one of my most recent reads, and that is the Jasmine Throne by Tasha Suri. This book was so good, but the magic in it specifically was just so interesting and so different than anything I'd ever really seen before. And the magic is earned, really, not like born with. Like, you're not like inherently magical, which I think is really cool. And basically the only people in this world that are magical are what they call the temple children. And they would pass through what they call like the deathless waters, and they kind of gained this magical abilities to control like the forest and different like trees and stuff. And they could like turn the force to help them, basically. Like, it's really, really cool and hard to explain. But they would go through these waters, and you'd go through 3 times over the course of your lifetime, and then you'd be like an elder. Well, they got a little too powerful, and they burned them all. Like, they locked the kids up and their elders and like set them ablaze. But of course, some of them escaped, and that is how we have the book. But the magic is really cool. I really love anything foresty. So I love that they can control like flowers and roots and trees and like the leaves are blades, and it's so fantastic. Like, I just think it's a really cool magic system. Keeping on with the foresty vibes, we've also got the magic in Queen of Blood. This is the first book in the Queens of Renthia series by Sarah Beth Durst. I thought the magic in this was so cool. This one is like you're inherently born with it, and from what I can tell, only women end up born with magical abilities. And they can basically call and kind of control these elemental entities, these like elemental woodland spirits that are like vicious and vengeful, and all they want to do is build and create. But like they build so like they create so much that they destroy, and like all they want to do is destroy people. And in this, like, the women can control them, sort of, and they have to like hone their magic. So they go to this like school, and it's so cool because like people have different affinities for different elements. And while it sounds really like elemental magic, it is, but and then some. It's like your typical elemental magic, which I love. Your girl loves some elemental magic, but it's like that and then some. And it was just so cool. And like just the foresty aspects of it, I love it so much. Next up, we have the Poppy War. I think the magic in the Poppy War is just mind-blowing. I love how, again, we're not inherently magical. You literally have to call upon a god and let that god live in your head in order to like have these magical abilities. But like it comes at a cost, and that cost is your sanity. And eventually, after having this god in you for so long, you know, you lose you and the god fully takes over. And then you have to be like walled away in this like prison. And I just think it's really cool. I think it's just so cool. Like, we get to go to the Pantheon and see all these gods, and like none of them are nice. Like they're not like there to help you. They have their own gain out of this when you call down a god to embody you and give you these abilities. So I love it, and I love how it's, you know, it's got a cost. Magic has a cost, and I love when magic has a cost. Speaking of magic having a cost, we also have An Unkindness of Magicians by Kat Howard. I know not all of my friends like this book, but I do. And I think it has some really cool magic in it. I love that all the magic has a cost in this. Yes, you're innately magic, but it comes at a cost. Like, you have to sacrifice something in order to use the magic. The more powerful the magic is, the more, like, it takes out of you. But, like, people kind of found that there's these loopholes around this. Like, they don't have to damage themselves. No, they can, like, loophole it with someone else. And I think that that was really well done. So really, this is just like the way the magic works and the cost of it. I just find super, super fascinating. So I think this is a fun book and more people should read it. Next up, we have Mistborn. I mean, could we talk about cool magic systems and not talk about Mistborn? Like, I don't think that's possible. I love this. You basically have to intake metals in order to burn them to give yourself abilities. Only certain people can do it. And then those are called mistings, and they can usually only use one metal. But then we have our mistborns, who are very, very rare, and they can burn all the metals and do all the things. And I just love it. I love that this, again, kind of, it has a cost. Like, if you burn too much of a certain metal, you know, it has this side effect or that side effect, like, you know, and it runs out. So it's like you have to keep, you know, imbuing yourself with magic because you're not innately magical. You just have an innate ability to absorb the magic from the metal. So I love that. There's a second magic system in this book that I really love that has to do with metals, like really along the same lines, but a little bit different. And I like that too. Next up, we have This Savage Song by Victoria Schwab. This is actually her YA. Monsters of Verity, Our Dark Duet is the second book. Monsters of Verity is the name of the series. I have a review on the full series if you want to check it out. It's just a duology, so I recommend it. And the magic in this is tied to music. It's monsters and music. And one of our main kids is a monster, but he's like a very specific kind of monster, and he can use music to see your soul and absorb the souls of those who have tainted souls. And I thought it was so cool. Is it perfect? No. But the magic is really cool, and I love it, so I recommend checking this one out. Next up, we have The Bone Maker by Sarah Beth Durst. Again, you're seeing a lot of Sarah Beth Durst on my channel lately, and that's because I'm just on a kick, and I'm loving it. And she's one of my new favorite authors, so you're gonna see a lot of Sarah Beth Durst on my channel. So we deal with it here. But I absolutely love this. It is bone magic. Bone magic is like something I'm really liking right now too. So if you know other books that have bone magic, let me know because I want to check them out. In this, there's 3 different ways to use the bone magic. We have people that can read the bones. So they're like our fortune tellers. We have people that can like imbue bones with different abilities that people can utilize. And then we have people like our main character, Kreia, who can create like constructs out of bones. So like they can make a wagon move, or they can like, she made like hold these like little dolls that are really creepy. But I love this book, and we're following older protagonists. They saved the world 25 years before, and now they just might have to do it again. And I love this book. Again, I have a full review for this one. Check it out if you want to. Another one, again, that is bone magic is The Bone Shard Daughter. It's very similar to the Bone Maker and the fact that like they can make constructs, but there's not, that's where the similarities end, is like at using bones to make constructs. Because in Bone Maker, you can use animal bones, and in the Bone Shard Daughter, you have to use like a human bone. So that's kind of where the similarities end. And in Bone Shard Daughter, they use it to make these like fantastical constructs, these massive, like almost sentient beings, and it's just so cool. And we're following like our main girl who's the daughter of the emperor, but she's got like no memories and she's trying to like get back her memories and learn this magic and basically take her spot as heir. And that book was so good. I cannot wait for book 2 to come out later this year. Like, I need it. And then finally we have the 5th season. And yes, this is sci fantasy, but it does technically have a really cool magic system, even if it is very tied to science. So even though like the magic system is pretty tied to science, like it's still a magic system, so I'm counting it. Basically, we follow these people that can manipulate the earth. It's basically earth magic, and I love it. And they can like, you know, make volcanoes blow, or they can stop them. And, you know, they can send out like cold, like a torus of cold air and like freeze you. And it is so good. And we explore this magic system throughout the whole series. And we're learning more about it in each book. And I love that. Because it's like just when you think you're like, oh, I understand. They throw something new at you. And you're like, oh, okay, Jemison. So just the way it works in this book is so good. I know y'all have heard me talk about this series so many times, but it's one of my absolute favorites, and I will not ever shut up about it. You can't make me. You can't make me stop talking about Jemison. I never will. She's just amazing. All right, well, those are all of the magic systems that I think are just fantastic. They're some of the best magic systems that I know of. Let me know what you think of these, and if you have any other suggestions, like what are some of your favorite magic systems that you have come across? All right, thank you guys for hanging out with me. My name is Jessie, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.